Welcome, beautiful star family. Thank you for coming today. We are going to do a pick a reading, only one card per reading. So there's 3 cards before you, 1, 2, and 3. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. These are just whatever is going to be connected to this crystal, whether it's healing energy, messages, all of the above. It is literally going to be one message per. So if you are drawn to more than one, I always say go with your gut. But if you're not, I do feel like this is more like, because I like to keep it real. And in real time, today is November 21st. It is Friday. It's actually the release of Wicked. Oh, sorry. It just came out naturally. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, right? But anyway, because I was trying to think, my day, I work for myself and I work from home. So my days and my times and the energies run together. So I also live by a freeway. So I apologize for that extra noise outside. But we do have some nice wind going and you'll hear the wind chimes going. But I do believe that these messages, whenever you find them, will always be timeless. But I do believe that each card and crystal will hold either a message or an answer to something maybe that has been, I just heard from Spirit, will quell your fears, so to speak, because I am feeling so much fear from the collective. And I'm starting to realize and understand like certain things around me. I've been having all these profound moments and connections with different people from all over the world. It's been really wonderful. And welcome to our going too quickly. Welcome to our new tribe members, to our new soul family. We've always been family, but thanks for coming. We are here. You found us. We all found each other. And, I always knew one day this channel would become something really powerful. But I also knew that when I started my journey, I was told by many of my teachers from all different places, from different cultures and backgrounds, they all spoke of the same thing, which was it was my job to wake people up, to heal the healers, to help the healers find their way back to themselves. I am merely here to wake you up. Some people have one reading with me or one session, or they watch one shorts on my YouTube and they're like, wow, cool. And then other people, we've worked together for years. We've been growing, we've been building. It's just different for everybody. So there's no, time is a man-made construct. So just remember that you show up exactly when you're meant to, just like Gandalf, the wizard in The Lord of the Rings, right? So speaking of wizard, so many magical things are happening, and these crystals are here to tell us about it. And crystals are very powerful and magical. As you can see before you, I always try to bring in, especially when I do these crystal readings, I try to bring in all my crystals and stones, or at least my big guns are the ones that want to come in. Also, whoa, drink some water. My throat chakra. I feel like someone's trying to choke me. Oh, goodness gracious, you guys. Listen, there's going to be some tough nugs in here, but there's always going to be a support of love. Okay? So watch these with caution because these may get energetic. Crystals and stones are very energetic. They have different energies, different frequencies. I mean, I can go on and on about how different they are, but the one thing they have in common is that they have a healing ability. So, and I feel like, as do all of us, right? And I feel like for some of you, the answers you've been seeking may be in these cards. So without further ado, let me introduce you to your reading. We have reading 1, reading 2, and reading 3. I will see you over at your reading. All the information and timestamps are in the description box. If you would like to work with me, my email address is magicalmedium@gmail.com. That is in there as well. And I work on a sliding scale for those of you who are new here. And what else? Oh, yes. And if you would like to gift Spirit and myself, and when I say gifting Spirit, you are, because I'm part of Spirit and I live here in human form. So remember that prayer is free, but in the description box, there are links to do so through my Amazon wish list, my Venmo, and my PayPal. But never expected, always appreciated, full of love, and you receive a prayer in response in return, Spirit and I light a candle for you, an abundance prayer, a healing prayer, whatever is in your greatest and highest good. And yeah, so there you go. All right, you guys, I'm going to see you over at your reading. I love you. Blessed be. Oh, welcome, reading one. Can you hear that? Oh, I don't know if you heard it, but it sounded like either geese or duck were flying overhead. So I feel like, whichever one you're drawn to, work with that spirit medicine. Whenever it comes in, especially as I'm starting a reading, that's pretty profound. Because I didn't hear it, like literally I was about to hit unpause and they started going overhead and it was like, meh, and then it went. So that's for somebody. So welcome, reading one. If you chose this card, you chose selenite. And those of you who are unfamiliar with selenite, it's time you research it and get yourself some. Here is the spelling in case you are not sure. Okay, I'm going to put this right here. You know what's really interesting? So they asked me to keep readings 2 and 3 up so that, if people are drawn to it or they're not sure or whatever, but I want you to see this little, see what that is? That's selenite. Those are 2 big selenites. It's a selenite wall. And I kind of feel like this is where you are, but I don't know. It was interesting. It was actually 2 pieces, and you can see kind of, they were like on top of each other. It was really, really cool. It was like a work of art, but it was meant to break apart. But I feel like they want you to see this, so I'm going to leave that there, but I wanted you to see this spelling, and so here's that, and I'm going to put 2 and 3 over here. Okay, and we can even go this way a little bit. There we go. Oh, that's lovely. I don't know. I feel like it means something, or it will, or maybe they're scrying. I'm not sure. There's always some reason. But selenite, the reason why selenite is one, to me, in like the top 10 most powerful crystals in the world is because it's a self-cleaning, self-cleansing crystal. The beautiful thing about that is I just need to make sure that I keep it dusted, right? Because it's water soluble, which means that I cannot rinse it in water. It'll disintegrate. But what's so powerful about it is that it doesn't hold any negative energy, right? Or entities. It cannot. It can't. It's like, it's a self-cleaning crystal, and it's the way that it's woven into the matrix. It holds like good energy, and it cleanses all the energy around it. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to keep selenite around you in your house, work with it, research it. We're going to read a little bit about it. I have the Crystal Bible. That's a really good one. But there's literally, if you don't want to buy a book or don't have the means to do so, there is a plethora of information for selenite under spiritual meanings, how to care for it, what it does, but it's basically like keeping angels around your house. They have a very high vibration. They hold a really beautiful energy. When the first time, one of our tribe members, Zoe, the first time she showed me the crystal, I was like, she like pulled it out of her bag, and I swear to God, it was like she pulled out like, was it Arthur's sword or whatever? It was like, and she's like, I know. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was so bizarre because I felt like it was a part of me, and I rarely get connected to crystals and stones. In the beginning I did, but nothing like this. Like when, the only other crystal I ever had that connection to was Penelope, which was my apophyllite that was given to me by my very first teacher, my first witchy shaman. She's like, I had to give this to you. Like, it was just so special. And long story short, then when it was my time, I had to pass it on to someone else. And it's okay, because those are the ones that you can feel, those entities that are living in that crystal, and they're there to bring that high vibration to help you, and I realized when I started really working with crystals and stones, just like how much they work as guardians as well. They're not just there to be pretty or to, help coil in, energies. It's a lot more deep than that. I mean, if you know, I mean, I've had very deep relationships. There are some crystals and stones in here that have been with me for years and years and years and years. Like, I don't even know how long I've had them, because I've been studying avidly for like 13 plus years. So some of them have been with me quite since the beginning. So, you know, they feel like friends. They feel like your doctor, you know, and your confidant. And there's nothing wrong with that. So make sure that when you work with crystals and stones, to especially when you're shopping in person, you know, you can connect with it online too, you know, but definitely when you're in person, you can really feel the energies. So I feel like at least one person in this group, I'm picturing that you need to anchor your home. So there are all different sizes of selenite, and there are different colors too. There's blue, green. I think there's more. I think there's an amber, but the most common one is the one before you, which is like the clear selenite, more on like the white, light, luminescent side. And here, if you want to even like see, I mean, look at that. It's really magical. This piece was so magical. So the funny thing about this story was, I said, I know this sounds crazy because we're both light workers, and I rarely ask anybody for anything or say like, I think I'm supposed to have that. But I said, dude, I feel like I'm supposed to have that. I feel like that was meant for me. She's like, no, I mean, I love you. But she's like, no, this is mine. And I was like, no, I mean, I don't blame you. I'm like, it's beautiful. It's like a piece of art. I'm like, but I feel like you're meant to gift it to me. And it's only because we've known each other for so many years that, we understand that we give each other things back and forth, and, and she was like, oh, she's like, no, I just got it. Like but it was funny because, not funny, haha, but funny, interesting. But interesting that they brought it back home with them on their travels. And they said that shortly after they were traveling, it broke into two pieces. And I was like, I'm like, well, maybe you're supposed to have one and I'm supposed to have one. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like, the lockets with like the heart, like best friends, I was like, maybe we're supposed to have that. And she was like, no, she's like, it's meant to go to you. But I'm glad that it broke. I mean, I wish, she may have a picture of it, but I wish people could have seen it before, because it was seriously something else. It was a work of art. I think I took a picture of it, but I don't know if I ever put it on my social media. I'll have to look. But anyway, I digress. But it's about attachment too. And I think because they brought up that story, maybe this is something you're struggling with as well. So I'm hearing to really anchor the good energy in your home. It's your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to get selenite and put them in the north, south, east, and west, corners of your home, and anchor your home. So if you only have a budget of X amount of dollars, then whatever. But if you don't, then, I mean, it's like, obviously the bigger the better, only because it amplifies. But what you can do as well is, look at this teeny, some people might be like, oh, that's so teeny, it's so tiny. It's like, yes, but this little quartz crystal packs a punch. This girl's got a lot to say. I mean, there's so much feminine energy in here, even though it's very phallic. I love it. And, there's this crystal shop that I used to go to all the time, and they were so kind to me, and they know what I did for a living. And so I was making a rather large purchase, and he said, hey, this is my box of like, my special pieces. He's like, go in and take one. And I grabbed this one. It was so magical. But he had pieces like this size for like $1, and quartz is a really great amplifier, but then we've got, this chunkamunka, which I've had for a long time. What's so frustrating? I give myself these manicures and my hands look so awesome. And they looked really good for the new moon in Scorpio reading. But I've been doing house chores and just doing a lot of things. And I'm like, damn it, I just gave myself a manicure like the night before. But it's okay. We don't have to be perfect. But, also, I meant to show you guys this. So if you guys remember, I used to joke about, like, I had like little boy hands, and my friend used to joke about it because I used to like chew my hands down to the nub. And I told myself I was going to grow my nails out again. And you know what? I did it. And I'm telling you, it's like little things. So I'm hearing somebody needs like a little pep talk right now, but it's just the little small things, not even the small indulgences so much. I feel like somebody needs to see some other crystals down here. Oh yeah. Oh, maybe it's the Lemurian. But you know, I started to realize that I wasn't super happy with, it was almost like I woke up out of a coma, but like a dark energy coma. And I started to really look at myself, and I put this big mirror up. I didn't even have mirrors up really around my tiny home. I'm like, I don't really need them or whatever. But I had put this mirror up, and I kept catching myself. And then I started to realize what was happening was that Spirit was like, who are you now? Like, this is who you've been. You've had your natural hair, natural, you know, no makeup, no frillies, no whatever, but like, who are you now? And I'm telling you something, it was really like self-confidence building, because every time I'd look in the mirror, I'd go, I don't know. And then I started looking at haircuts and hair colors. And I was like, who am I right now? So I'm going to spend this winter, well, actually, I mean, in real time, it's November 21st, but I'm going to spend like, you know, we're still in fall, but the next several months, I'm just going to work on myself, like really work on myself. And I feel like this is a message for you too. It's time to work on yourself. I'm hearing the sexuality needs a little rev. And also, let me tell you something. I had a really interesting conversation with someone recently, and I guess in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm in my 50s. I just went through menopause. So it makes sense that I'm, you know, challenged right now sexually of like who I am or where I'm going or how I'm feeling about myself. But then like one of my dear friends who's in their early 30s was saying the same thing. And I thought that's so interesting. And it made me realize that it's not just menopause. I feel like right now it's very interesting. The sexuality, not only is the patriarchal energy shifting and we're getting more into a balance of divine feminine, divine masculine, but I also think it's like we're shifting because we've also been in a pornography culture for a very long time. And I think we've like what we view as like sexy or, you know, I mean, there's blow up dolls for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of things that have gotten skewed on like what reality is between blow up dolls and AI, and it's like, and there's nothing wrong with like having a fantasy or being whatever, but it's like trying to make a human being be a blow up doll or be like this fantasy and AI that's completely like perfect. It's just not what humanity was made for. You know, just because you can doesn't mean you should, my mom always said, and it's true. So you know, who are you now on the outside and the inside? Like, do your insides and your outsides match? You know, there's this gentleman, I don't know his name, but every so often his channel will come into my orbit, and he's British. He lives, I believe, in London, but I'm not for sure. But he dresses every single day in period clothes from like the 1800s. Like every single day. He had his entire wardrobe tailored. And he said, you know, some people think it's like gimmicky or whatever. He's like, this is how I feel the most like myself. And you know what? He could be living, like maybe he lived in that time and maybe he was young and beautiful like that and didn't get to live, you know, maybe he was in poverty then, but always wanted to wear those clothes. And so now he's like, I can dress like that. I still walk these same streets that I walked, you know, 100 and something years ago. You know what I mean? 200 years ago, whenever it was. But it's very interesting that I feel like, and style, I think a style like you is her channel, as Spirit calls me to. If I can find both of them, I'll put them in the description box. But so many people do this, you know, people live in cosplay, you know, and that's okay. But there's something about like, have you ever seen that makeover show where they take people who are always like in some form of like cosplay or like goth or whatever, and they give them an under makeover where they give them like everyday looks, everyday clothes, everyday hair, quote unquote. It was mesmerizing. It's mesmerizing for them because some of them, they started dressing and looking that way when they were teenagers and they carried it on to their 20s, and now they're getting like towards their 30s and their significant others like, I'm just curious to know, like, I mean, I see what you look like, and so I just want to see how you would feel if like you were an everyday. And some of them are actually like, wow, I didn't know I would look like this, and you know what I mean? So it's about change. We don't have to do the same thing every day. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to be different, right? Like that's what I'm hearing from Spirit. I feel like for some of you, you're living in this like same repetitive like motion pattern hamster wheel, and they're like, but what if, or maybe you want to live in another country or another place. Research it, see what you can do. A lot of places will give you a visa up to 6 months, and then people can hire you if they want to. And then if they find that you're valuable and, whatever, and they can help you live there. I mean, there are just so many ways. I want you to understand that we are all unlimited, right? Wicked comes out today in real time. So I was like, Wicked for good. Unlimited, right? We are unlimited. We can do whatever we want. We're watching it out. Like, look at what's happening with these governments. They're doing whatever the fuck they want. They don't care. They're breaking rules. They're just like, I don't have to abide by things. They just keep pushing boundaries to see who's going to push back. We are meant to do the same. We're not meant to watch back in horror. We're meant to push back and say, I don't think so. Or push back and say, hey, look at me. I have something to say. Hey, look at me. I want to do this. Hey, look at my art. Hey, 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 hey. Wake up, they're saying. It's time. You don't have to wait around for anybody. I'm hearing, drink some water. I'm hearing, some of you, I literally am hearing like, you're waiting around for something, or you're waiting. They're like, whatever it is you're waiting for, maybe it's all of you, but it's individual, right? But they're like, whatever it is you're waiting for, stop waiting. You have to make it happen. And even if you fell on your face before, 100 times before, what if it's this 101 time that, you know what I mean? If they call me too, I'll put a link in the description box about abundance from, I think her name's Paget. It looks like it's spelled that way. But she's new into my orbit, but I love her manifestation shorts. They're really powerful. And the way, I'm paraphrasing, drink some water. But she said something to the effect of, you think it's about the money, but she's like, but it's not about the money. She's like, what if it's not about the money? What if it's that you are not going towards what your passion, your goal, like what you feel in your gut you're meant to do? They're like, it's not that and it's like, I spoke about this before about, those wind up toys, if you put it in the direction of a wall, it's going to keep, it's still going to go into the wall, 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 until somebody turns it around, right? It doesn't have sophisticated software. You have to like turn it around, and it's a wind up toy. So it'll keep going. But it's like, they're like, you're not a drone. You're not a worker bee. You're not a wind up toy. You are a gift, and you were brought here to expose the gifts that were given to you to help and guide and mend and heal the planet right now. And it's going to be different for every single one of you. But they're saying, if you're having any money blocks or things aren't happening, they're like, it's because you're not in. And also they're saying, if you feel like you're in the wind up toy hitting the wall, instead of being in the repetitive of it, go into the meditation of the sound, right? Like, go into the meditation of it and be like, okay, I'm obviously in a holding pattern for a reason. So there's something you either need to learn, change, or grow, or all of the above. And sometimes it's literally about divine timing. And when all the stars align, when everything happens, everything will come together. And I am telling you this from living proof. I can feel it with every fiber of my being, and I've watched it happen in my own life. So as we close out your reading, I'm going to read from the book. These are your last messages from Spirit. So, and for some of you, okay, I just heard from Spirit. From some of you, you were asking for guidance. You were asking for, I just got the chills. You were asking, what direction should I go in? Are my gifts real? Is this real? Okay, so listen, here are the key words that are going to align you to your answer. Telepathy, soul connection, peace, and tranquility. One of the things that Paget said was that if you are refusing to put yourself out there, like if you're hiding in your life, like if you're hiding in the humdrum, like every day, when I looked down, it was 24:42, which is 24 backwards, 42 backwards, you know what I mean? So that could be an angel number for you as well. So write that down, work with it. But since there's a semicolon in between, it's also 6 and 6. So 6 might be viable in your everyday, or it could be a life path number or an angel number you need to work with, but also it could be 66 angel number, or 6 and 6 together is 12, and the lowest denominator is 3. So you know what I mean? So you may want to work with that. But she was saying, if you keep hiding in your life, like say you're like this telepathic medium, right? Which obviously some of you are because it's in here. So if you're a telepathic medium and you have this deep soul connection to spirit, and you are somebody who brings peace and tranquility to the world, but you're working in some job, either like in your house, like, you know, maybe you write ads for like something, whatever, you never see people, you never go out, you know, maybe your ads touch people, yes, but like you're meant to actually like go out and heal people, but you're like, how come nothing ever changes? How come I can't make more money? How come? They're like, because you're not meant to do that anymore. That's the job that took you to where you are now. Now it's time to step into your gifts and like who you are and who you are meant to be in this lifetime. And it's going to be different for all of you. And because there's so many of you, I can only speak for the message from spirit, but take it into your own story. And don't, you know, I don't like to use the word don't very much, but try not to make other people's story your story, right? If it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Let it go. Also, I can't help but see like a lightning bolt between those two pieces of selenite. So I don't know if that means anything to you guys, which is so interesting because when I was growing up as a kid, and when it was so interesting. My junior high mascot was the Twisters, like tornadoes, like the Twisters. And it was like our tornado was our mascot. And we lived like in Illinois, like where we literally like had like massive tornadoes. And then when I went to high school, we were the T-bolts, the thunderbolts, a lightning bolt, which I guess is funny, but it's interesting. I'm like, what was up with all the weather? You know what I mean? Like, I recognized this some time ago, many moons ago, and I was like, isn't it interesting how things are brought into our, you know, past? So maybe it's something with you guys. Maybe there's like a storm, or maybe you feel like you're caught in a storm. I don't know, but there's some symbology there. So here is the last messages from Spirit. It is possible for you to connect with others energetically on a soul level and infuse them with love and healing. This is telepathic communication in its highest form. Through the formless light of love, it is possible to both send and receive information, provided the information is sought and sent with love. Remember that on a soul level, time and space do not really exist because all is interconnected and ultimately one. Yeah, remember earlier they spoke about that time is a man-made construct. The peace and tranquility you seek can be found by connecting to that ultimate oneness. Go within. For doing so, you will realize that all is eternal, nothing is ever lost, and that all is eternally present. It's beautiful. So stay focused, stay in the present. I just met a new friend and we were speaking of this. I said, you know, it really is. I said, you know, because we had met in the store and we had this meet cute funny moment over, you know, our love of our favorite chip. And then like later on, you know, we bumped into each other again, and then we had like this thing, and it just kept happening organically. So we both were like, you know, maybe we should like exchange numbers and go have tea or something. But the last part of our conversation, after we'd, you know, kept running into each other in the store, was that she said something like, you know, we just have to stay present. I'm like, yes. I go, I mean, people don't realize it. I'm like, it really is all we have every moment. I go, look, I go, when we first met at the grocery store, you know, a little while ago, I go, that's already in the past. And I said, the future hasn't happened yet. Like literally, this is all we have is like right now. This is it. And it's so true. It's like, you know, when we really look at it, when we really, really look at it, we understand that time frames were conceived to keep us under control, but they were also conceived to help us to understand. Now, if we lived in a different time and a place, even now there's places in this world that are still untouched and don't have, you know, any type of clocks or things like that. And they go by the moon and the sun. And they know, right? There's no time change bullshit like turn it back a clock or putting a clock forward. That, right? It's not about that. It's like they know the way things are going, that it's like, I will meet you at the fountain, you know what I mean? Or I will meet you at the waterfall if you're out in nature, right? I will meet you at, you know, when the sun hits the waterfall, I will meet you there. And they know what that means. It's all perspective and it's all relevant. You know, it just depends on where you are and who you are and what's happening. By the way, is it me or do I have to take a screenshot? I feel like this just got more light, and it has not gotten lightener. It has not lightened up in here. Anyway, do we have any more messages for reading one, Spirit? They said, nope, you're ready to go. Well, I hope these messages helped you in any way. And all of my information is in the description box if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, which I do on a sliding scale. And there are options, you know, that we can do, whether we're meant to work one-on-one or I send you a recorded video, just like this, but it's personalized just for you. Or if you would like to gift myself and Spirit for the work that we do here today, for Spirit lives inside us all, and I am in human form. So thank you so much for supporting me, whether through Amazon, PayPal, or Venmo, if you can. But remember that prayer is free. It's about the exchange of energy. Until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. I love you so much. Blessed be. Oh, bye. Welcome, reading two. You are powerful. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for allowing me to read for you today. I feel like for some of you, I need to introduce myself. My name is Tulu Loren. I am the magical medium, and you have found yourself here because you are a very powerful soul. The wind started coming in. My wind chimes outside were going crazy, and I heard dun 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 dun. I heard the Indiana Jones theme. So I'm really excited to find out what your message is from Spirit. You know, if you didn't watch the beginning or you didn't see the title, these are messages you need to hear right now from Spirit. And I feel like there's a lot of scrying going on in your card. So it's very different from reading one. Reading one, we didn't read the book until the end, and yours is so different. When I started putting it together, the whole thing, they basically just like went to the book. Like I could feel it, because it's called the Amulet Stone, and they call them thunder eggs, okay? So the Amulet Stone, also known as thunder eggs. So thunder eggs, if you guys have never seen them, I'm actually surprised. I'm going to see if I can zoom in here, or if we can get that effect. But I always thought thunder eggs were those that when you crack them open in the middle, they have like crystals inside. So I don't know 100%. I thought that's what it was, but I'm going to read on in the book and see. Also, on to the left of it on the book is amethyst. And last night, I don't remember much from my dream or astral traveling or wherever I was or whatever I was doing, but I do know that there was something connected with the dream state. So I feel like maybe this is a message to some of you guys. When I looked down, it was 3301 on the timestamp. So there's something with that, which is also, if you add them together, 37. But I also saw like the number 3 and 13. So divine feminine, very witchy energy. But I met this really cool old wizard yesterday, and he was wearing this beautiful brooch, and he said, oh yeah, it's amethyst. And he said, or he goes, it's my birthstone. And I said, oh, February, it was amethyst. And he goes, yes. And I said 18th, and he goes, no, the 5th. And I was like, oh, interesting. So I feel like whenever a number comes out like that, when somebody says their birthday, and it was like very instant, I automatically like say it. So when he said no, I feel like that was meant to like pop over to this. So I feel like maybe for some of you, your birthday is February 18th, or maybe you're inquiring about somebody whose birthday is February 18th, or it could even be that it could be a time frame. In real time, today is November 21st, 2025, and we are in the year of the snake and rebirth and transformation, regeneration. And we are on February 17th, I believe. It's either 13th or the 17th. I need to grab my journal, but anyway, we will be going into the year of the horse, which is about freedom. So February 18th could even be like, it's, you know, it seems like really tough, but like hang in there, hang in there. Maybe you guys are feeling like these rocks and you're like, I got so many cracks, like I'm exhausted. You know, I definitely feel like old, like really old soul energy. So I'm not sure what you were coming here for or what you were inquiring about. But for the amethyst coming in, I feel like that might mean something, or it could even be a birthstone of February, you know. But also amethyst is connected to spirituality, positive transformation, and meditation. And we actually have, I'll just turn it really quickly, but that's amethyst, that little tower back there, that is amethyst. So maybe you are new to crystals and stones. Most people have seen, since we know it's a thunder egg, I'm going to go all the way up so you guys can see the whole thing. A lot of people start with amethyst. You know, it's like when you start a new kind of skill or you start a new hobby and people are like, okay, you know, if you want to knit or crochet, whatever, like you need to know this stitch first. You know, it's like that kind of thing. I feel like amethyst is that. Amethyst, rose quartz, clear quartz crystal. There's certain crystals that I feel like are the beginner, you know, or like every person that is going to work with crystals should have. But amethyst is, it's also very powerful for healing. It's good for migraines, and it's also good for addiction and recovery, especially with alcoholism. There's a lot of folklore around AA and amethyst and things like that. So you may want to research that. Okay. And that may only be for one person, or maybe it's just like, you know, an overall like work with it. So here are your messages from spirit through the amulet stone, also known as thunder egg. The key words are protection, guidance, travel, and integration. Travel plans will soon be on the horizon. Ooh, I just got the chills. An unexpected opportunity will arise, which will see you preparing to travel to a faraway place. The amulet stone offers you protection and guidance while traveling. While away, you will discover interesting ways of integrating your physical and spiritual life, as well as your business and personal life. Ideas and opportunities arise that you will find both rewarding and stimulating. Allow yourself to keep an open heart and mind during the process. Also, remember when I said I called to 3301, but I saw the number 13? I just noticed this. But it was 3031. But do you see that? That's the page number. Sorry, I'm going to pull it back a little bit. The amulet stone is on page 31. I mean, come on. So, you know, 31 is 13 backwards, and that's the number of the divine feminine. So it could be, you know, for some of you to connect more with that or to work with that. The divine masculine is a shit show right now. It's where it's supposed to be. But, you know, not all men are shit. A lot of beautiful, wonderful men are fighting with us to keep the balance. Not all women are shit. Right? A lot of women are working and fighting hard to keep the balance. And this isn't about what you identify with inside, outside. I'm talking about the divine feminine, masculine. I'm using it as those kind of energies so people can understand, because we are pulling apart. You know, it takes a while to pull out of a completely different dimension. And we are pulling out of the third dimensional lower vibration frequency that Earth has been on for a really long time. You know, we co-created this planet, and then we co-created to watch it disintegrate, to see the power of humanity. Now we see the power of humanity. We see that, you know, it's coming back. That's like, if you look at the cards, you know, it's like the crystal on the back face of the card. It's like the crystals are popping up. It's like they're growing, they're growing, they're growing. And that's us right now as spiritual light beings. We are growing, we are growing, we are growing, we are changing, we are evolving. So don't allow yourself, that's the second time I think I've used don't today. And I'm really starting to be more cognizant of my words. And maybe this is for you too. Be mindful of your words, be mindful of your thoughts, because they have power. If you're thinking negatively of someone, if you can try and not think negatively of them, that would be great. But it happens, right? So when it does, at the same time, recognize it, feel it, and then send them love immediately. Immediately. We spoke about this in the last reading, in reading 1, if you were drawn to it. If you're not, you know, don't make a story your story. I feel like these are very, like, not personalized, but I feel like, I mean, already this is so much different than the first one. You know what I mean? So it doesn't mean that you don't need that medicine too. It just means that, like, focus on this right now. And then if you know, because a lot of times people are like, you know, we want everything up front. And I've been there. I understand that. Us overachievers, right? But sometimes we really need to just take it one breath, one step, one moment at a time. We need to digest this one thing first. We need to take this one thing in first. And sometimes if we take in too many things all at once, we get overloaded, which is why, look at these. All of these have cracks in them. They're thunder eggs. But what's cool about the thunder eggs is when they start to crack open on the inside, we see these magical crystals. You know what I mean? So we see the insides. And I feel like maybe that's what it is. Maybe some of you have been trying so hard to protect yourself that you're starting to break. Maybe you're starting to get sick, or you're losing your hair, or you feel like your body's failing you, or you know what I mean? Like, and it is because we're all going through a form of disintegration as we go through a rise up and a build up, and we're just going to build up stronger. We're dying. The part of us that's dying is this old world. And if you found yourself here, most likely you're an ancestral breaker. So it feels physically very intense, and it feels very physically, you know, it's every level, you know, it's the emotional body, the physical body, the mental body, you know, the spiritual body. It's all of them. As above, so below, we're all the way around. You know, before I opened the container for this, I called in all the energies because I knew, I'm like, this is a big one. I can feel that this was, you know, whenever it's like messages and you need to hear from spirit right now, I always feel like, you know, it's just kind of a little check-in. It may be generic, you know, for a title. Oh, and I looked down, it was 4044. I've been seeing 444 a lot. Also, I got the chills on the travel thing, and I've been feeling a travel bug myself. So, you know, this may be my message as well. But, you know, this is what I'm saying. We have a purpose. Look at, even my refrigerator just got quiet. We all are waking up to our purpose more and more each day. But the only way to do that is to crack ourselves wide open, to get to the ooey gooey center, to the crystally beautiful, sparkly, joyful beings that we are. Wherever we come from in the universe, it's beautiful, it's love, it's light. I mean, we were created with so much love. The energies and entities that look out for us, oh my gosh, like they love us so much, you guys. They really, really love us. So they're saying to you right now, you know, the key words were protection, guidance, travel, and integration. So they're trying to remind you that you are divinely protected. I have the chills all over my body. I bet you do too. You are divinely protected all the time. Even if you don't call them in, they're there. You are divinely guided. So follow those breadcrumbs, follow those rocks, follow the pebbles, follow the signs. And the travel might be physical, but for some of you, it's about going inward. It's about disciple energy of getting close to spirit through meditation and imagination, through getting quiet, getting still, you know. Start out with 5 minutes. See how long you can go with nothing. No music, no TV, no phone. See how long you can go. Start with 5 minutes and then keep building. You'll find that you don't even want to. I do a lot just because I live, you know, literally like off a freeway. So sometimes at night it's really quiet. I don't have anything on. It's just really nice for it to be quiet. But during the day, I have music on, or I'll watch movies, or, you know, I dance, whatever. I do household chores because it can be overwhelming sometimes. But also it's a good practice for meditation to do it when it's loud and when it's busy. It helps you to become more focused and more connected to the divine. So whatever works for you, but I'm definitely feeling like meditation and calmness is on the books for you guys, okay? And then the last one was integration. And they're saying now it's time for you to pull yourself out of the third dimensional energy because you know it doesn't belong to you, which is anger, sadness, fear, worry, like those are fear-based energies. Instead, flip it around and say, I believe in magic and miracles. I trust you, Spirit. I believe in divine timing. I know you're showing me the way. And sometimes you're going to miss the signs and you're going to learn a lesson. And sometimes you're not. And you're going to gain like, you know, $1 million. You know, it just changes all the time. And that's the beauty of it. That's the joy of life. But, you know, each life we get to learn and grow more, and we just integrate more back into the woven energy of oneness. That's what, because we all come from one thing. We really are like Horton Hears a Who. We're from one divinity, one place, and then it just branched off, and then the human mind wouldn't be able to wrap around the existence of the universe. I have a hard time doing it, and I speak with them every day. You know, it's not meant to be fully discovered. That's the beauty of it. Even with us, our minds are swiped clean for a reason, because otherwise it's like, what fun would it be if you're going in to play the game, right? The Matrix is a game, right? So if you're going in to play the game, what fun would it be if you knew all of the clues, all of the, it's like, oh yeah, sure, you can get the high score. Sure, you can, 4450, by the way. Oh, and then I just saw 4455. And this is for either, numerology, angel numbers, or maybe it's for you for numbers. Could be age, could be birthday, could be things, a person, whatever is for you. But they're just winks signs from spirit. Maybe you're seeing 1111, or you're seeing, whatever it is. It's like, yes, those are signs. No, you're not crazy. Yes, everything happens for a reason. Stop trying to control it so much. Spirit's like, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it, because someday you'll look back on it and you'll be like, oh man, why did I just enjoy it, right? Like, you want to enjoy it. Being human, there are millions of souls that are like dying to be human, like, not really dying, but like that kind of energy. They're like, I want to be so bad, I want to give up anything to be human. Like, they just want to try it. They want to come here. They want to come to this soul expanding school. But some of us, if you found yourself here, we're in a higher, dimensional capacity than a lot of people on earth right now. It's not about being better. It's not about that. We are all the same. It's just that we're on different levels of consciousness and awareness, and everyone's on their different path in their spiritual journey and their spiritual growth process. So we can't force them to be where we are. So it's better to just allow them to be where they are. Oh, and I looked down, it was 4603, which also is the number 13 altogether. So with that being said, it says travel plumes. They want me to read it one more time. Travel plans will soon be on the horizon. An unexpected opportunity will arise, which will see you preparing to travel to a faraway place. The amulet stone offers you protection and guidance while traveling. So they're just saying, know that you are divinely protected. While away, you will discover interesting ways of integrating your physical and spiritual life, as well as your business and personal life. I just saw like the tropics. Maybe some of you are thinking about doing ayahuasca, going on a journey. Absolutely. But remember, I had this conversation with my partner recently, who we've always like joked that he's the psychedelic shaman, because he creates his own form of ayahuasca, DMT. It's all legal. It's all legit. But he found this guy who invented a way to make it with like all, legal things. And it's really cool, because the way that he made it, it only lasts like 5 minutes, but you can be in it and feel like you've been there for lifetimes and come back and you're like, wow, it's only been 5 minutes. So I've been recognizing, like, we've been having these conversations, and I said to him recently, be mindful though when you go there, because even though like what you're witnessing and what's happening is correct, I'm like, also remember that your human mind, like, is still present. Like, your awareness is still present. Your past lives are still present. So there may be things that are there in this psychedelic space, whether you're, smoking grass, right? Like smoking grass, I love it. My age is showing. I was born in 71. But even though I never really say that, I say weed all the time, but it was just awesome. But whether you're doing that, or you are having a cocktail, or, going to an ayahuasca ceremony, anytime you're altering the state of your consciousness, you have to remember that you're opening yourself up to different levels and portals of your imagination, your mind, and connecting to other energies and entities. And some that don't have boundaries, or if you're not, whatever, that's why I feel like they're saying, like, you are protected when you do this, but also be mindful that, like, it's like, if you have any fear-based energy when you're in it, there's something there for you to look at. It's just your reflection of your own something coming back at you. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people will be like, oh, I went on this trip and like all these these demons were coming at me. And I was like, well, it's really probably just like you amplifying you back to you, like, of the things that you need to see. Because it's like, it's really a conundrum and very confusing. I don't have all the answers either. This is just my perception of it, right? And my experience and all of my experiences up until this moment. But and it's also because one of my gifts as being a telepathic medium is that when someone is telling me a story, if they open the gates and the walls and they allow me in, I can see what they seen and what they experienced. And so that's why sometimes I'm like, my awareness might be a little more expansive and less skewed, because it's not about me. I'm not in it. This doesn't have anything to do with me. you know, and I've been recognizing like that I feel like this is becoming a very interesting pattern, but it's also about a limited scope on the way we see ourselves and the way we see the world. But also right now, because we're having such a disintegration of the patriarchal system, and we are having more of a rise of the divine feminine, bringing it back into balance, we're also recognizing and seeing the diversity all over the world, and that we're having very shared experiences. We're having very, very shared unknown experiences, but they're divine to each of us because our own minds and our own souls help co-create who we are. So they know what we need in each lifetime to get through, right? So like I've said this before, 100 of us can see the same thing, but if you bring us all into an interview room with 3 or 4 people being the interviewers, you know, one at a time, and without hearing each other's experience, we're going to have completely different experiences. We may have some shared experiences, but we may have others, because depending on who we are, where we come from, the way we were raised, the way we perceive things, so everything is different, and they want you to start seeing it that way. And I feel like for some of you, why you're starting to crack too, is you're like, I don't know what to believe anymore. They're like, that's good, right? When you know nothing, that is when you fucking made it. You know, when I remember one time I had commented on something on social media years ago, when I was in my very strong ego phase, after I really understood and recognized my gifts. And then I started to like feel crazy because I felt like no matter where I went, I could hear everybody's thoughts. It's like once I turned it on, it was hard to turn it off. And so long story short, I had posted, you know, this very dramatic thing. It was either Facebook or Instagram. It was a long time ago. And I laughed because I love myself so much, you know, because that's where I was, right? So, but I said something like, nobody knows what it's like to be me. Like, it's so hard when you know everything. It takes the mystery out of it, or something like that. And I feel like, you know, I'm like, no, people don't surprise me. I'm like, they disappoint me or something. It was like I was on a fucking soapbox, you know? And some people are like, oh, I'm so sorry that you're struggling, you know, whatever. But then like one of my friends who fucking always kept it real, she like came out and she's like, you know, everything. Like she put it in like capital letters, like really drew it out. She's like, you know, everything. And she's like, ego much, like, you know, whatever. And I was like, oh, fuck, you know, but I needed that. And sometimes we need that mirror. Speaking of mirrors, like we need somebody to put that back in our face, because we go through different stages, and it does, you know, it was like, I had to realize I was a superhero. I had to realize, you know, that I was this being, and that I had all of these, you know, skill sets that were gifted to me to, you know, inhabit and bring out to the world in this lifetime. But at the same time, now it's taken me years to realize that I know nothing. I mean, I'm going to tell you what I'm experiencing. I'm going to tell you what I know from my experience, but I still know that I know nothing. I know that when I die, everything will come back to me, and I'll be like, well, whatever. And that was a fun, wild ride. You know, thank you for, you know, Mr. Toad's wild ride. That was a fucking blast. But at the same time, the reality of it is that we know nothing really. But what we do know is that we are loving light beings. And what we do know is that we're having a human experience. And what we do know is that we were brought here as push pins to elevate the light all over the planet. And when I say push pins, it's like, because, you know, if you ever put a map out on a wall when you're going to travel and you're like, oh, I want to go here. I know digitally everybody does it, but back in the day, if you wanted to go anywhere, you know, it was like that movie Mask with Cher. If you've never seen it, oh my gosh. And Eric Stoltz, I can't. It's just such a beautiful film, and it makes me cry, and it's based on a true story. So her son has been told since the time he was born, because he was born with a quote unquote deformity, he was just different, but he had this like a magical heart and magical energy, and he just saw the world as beautiful. And he had all of these dreams and aspirations. And they told his mom when he was a baby that he probably wouldn't make it to this age, he probably wouldn't make it to that age. So by the time he hits a certain age, he's like, you know, I'm going to do these things. What do the doctors know? So he gets a map, and he decides he loves motorcycles, and he wants to motorcycle across the world. So he gets a map out, and he starts putting push pins in all the places he wants to take his bike. And it was just really cool. And I remember that visual, and how I was like, I want to do that too. I grew up before the internet and all that. So, and MapQuest, right? It's like you had to look at a real map. You had to really, and so there's something really magical about mapping out your life. And I'm hearing from Spirit, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to create a vision board. And if you've never done a vision board, I highly suggest you research it and look into it. I've been thinking about doing one myself. So if Spirit calls me to, maybe I'll pull some pieces together and I'll let you guys know when we're going to do it. And we can do a vision board together. We can go live and do a vision board together. I'm really feeling more interactive energy as we go into winter. The holidays are a lot and we're all exuding so much energy, right? So, but I'm thinking in January, I may want to do some fun interactive stuff, or Spirit may have me go inward. I don't know. I always go with whatever I'm meant to, but definitely work on a vision board for yourself. See and look and feel, like it's like, what do you want? Who are you now? What do you want right now? What do you want right now? What do you want for your future? Where do you see yourself? And dream big. There is no small dream. If you want to be an astronaut and you're like, I'm 60, okay, you can still be an astronaut. You can. You may not be able to do certain things, but you can still go to school. You can still get, whatever. You can still work at NASA if you're American, or wherever in your country, right? If you want to do this, if you want to do that, it's like, do it. There's nothing and no one holding you back but you. And if you need time to yourself to heal those cracks, to find out who you really are underneath the surface, then do it. Also, they're having me pull down. Let me see. Where is it at? Oh, here we go. I feel like they want you to really look at that card. There's a lot of scrying going on in there. And while you're doing that, I'm going to see if Spirit has any more messages for this beautiful, beautiful reading too. Okay, Spirit, do we have any more messages for reading 2 before we move forward? Nope, that's it. All right, you guys, those are your messages from Spirit. I hope they helped you in any way. And also, if you would like to work with me, or if you would like to contribute or gift anything this way between Spirit and myself. Ooh, I just cracked my knuckle. I love that. Lovely. Because it means that the air and the oxygen's escaping. All of my information is in the description box. And remember that prayer is free, but I do have links to my Amazon, my Venmo, and PayPal. And the PayPal's international. So if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, I am working on a sliding scale. Whether that's, we'll go through Zoom or over the phone or a recorded reading, whatever Spirit calls me to do, it's personal and just for you. All right, I'll see you at the next reading. We love you so much. Blessed be. Oh, bye. Take good care of yourselves and each other, but mostly you. Bye. Welcome, reading 3. Oh my goodness. So I just bumped myself, and earlier I was thinking how I used to be like a bull in a china shop and, knock things over, or, I felt like people around me were always like, careful, careful, oh, and I was recognizing how much I've changed and evolved since then. And then just now, I hit myself on the edge of my daybed. And it's interesting because I feel like this is a message for some of you to slow down. In real time, it's November 21st, 2025, and we are literally in Mercury retrograde. There are a lot of planets in retrograde right now, but Mercury is definitely one that seems to, in my experience and in my research and it's limited, but my limited research, as far as I know, Mercury is the closest planet to Earth, which is why we are the most affected by it. But it's also the planet of communication. That's why they say you don't want to sign leases, blah, blah, blah. But it's about travel. And it's not that the planet is going backwards. It's just that they slowed down. And you have to remember that Mercury retrograde is like on fucking speed now when that happens, because we've gone back into the 5th dimensional energy, which moves rather fast. So before, when Mercury was in retrograde, now this is my experience, since we've gone into the 5th dimensional energy, I've been noticing that I'm having more observation moments during Mercury retrograde than like, you know, that happened. Oh shit, it's Mercury retrograde. That's right. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So I'm hearing that for some of you, this is your challenge. They had me set up your altar a little bit differently. As you can see, there I have an actual moonstone. They had me put it in front of it. The other ones, or actually, it doesn't matter. I'm not even going to go there. They wanted me to say, if you were drawn to any of the other readings, reading 1 and reading 2, they said, only go there if you're pulled there. These are very specific messages. These readings, so far, reading 1 and reading 2 are very different. Messages may be similar, but they were very different, especially in their direction, intent, and purpose. So if you were drawn to them, if it feels like your medicine, go for it. But if not, Spirit's saying don't make something your story that it's not your story. Also, for those of you who are new here, and those of you who are coming back and knew me as Tallulah Kelly, I have changed my name to Tallulah Wren. So if you are like, who's Tallulah Wren? I have changed it, and maybe this is for you too. I feel like some of you are ready to have a massive makeover. You're ready for it. I mean, the way I set this up, I felt a lot of confidence. Also, there's a half moon there. If you can see that, it's actually a really cool little display thing that's holding the oracle card. Thank you, Anna, from one of our tribe members. And it had like empty space, and I'm sure you can like fill it with like, pebbles or sand or whatever. But it's interesting that the wax went out of the candle and formed that half crescent moon. And the other side, it just always looked kind of messed up. So I dug it out, and it's funny now, like no candles have gone in there. So the other side of it is a half, moon as well, but it's empty. And I feel like there's something about this with the yin and the yang too. There's a lot going on for you guys. There's some channeled messages that want to come through. I'm hearing the name Ruth. So I don't know if that's you, a spirit guide. I just got the chills all over my body. I'm hearing, you have to remember that Moonstone is all about intuition. The moon is all about our intuition. Also, the moon is connected to our emotions. So in real time, we just had the new moon in Scorpio. So maybe your moon's in Scorpio, or, maybe you're somebody who's really connected to the moon, or like myself, I was born on a Monday, a moon day. So I'm very connected to the moon. But Moonstone itself is a very powerful magnifier, and it is a very powerful stone. And I will never forget, I worked for this magical witch, and she knew what I was before I knew what I was, right? And her specialty was, not just vintage, but she had local artists. And this local artist had brought in these moonstone earrings. They were so magical and so beautiful, and I was so drawn to them. But at the time, I could barely feed myself, let alone buy myself a pair of $40 earrings. So I was like, $40 is like a week of groceries for me. I was like, I can't do that right now, And so long story short, we're all about exchange of energy, and of course I would get paid, but then sometimes, like, if I wanted something, she'd be like, hey, if you want to pick up some extra hours, I know you want that thing, I'll give it to you for this price, and you don't have to give me anything, no tax or whatever. She's like, it's just like a gift. She's like, well, it's just like an exchange of energy. And I was like, okay, cool. And I remember she was having this event. It was at it was in Portland, Oregon when I was living at the time. Rebels, it's not there anymore. Actually, she still has an online store. And if I'm called to, I'll put a link below, because you really want to like shop her stuff. She's so magical and so witchy and beautiful, and she's a magical creature. So, I said, I want those. I want to get those earrings. She's like, I knew it. She's like, I'm so glad. She's like, they're so beautiful. She's like, they're so beautiful. I'm like, I know, I'm really excited. I'm like, I'm also a little nervous. And she's like, why? I said, because when I tried them on, I said, I've never had that experience before. And she's like, what? I go, I just felt like they were really heavy. I felt like they were super like weighty, and I just don't like to wear like heavy stones. And she's like, really? They feel so light. And I was like, oh. She's like, but it depends, you know. She's like, moonstone speaks to who it speaks to. And she's like, she goes into this whole thing about moonstone. And at the time I was still kind of, you know, green. And I was like, oh, you know, okay. Long story short, I had them, I don't know, not off. I think I wore them 3 times. And every time I wore them, I had to take them off after a certain amount of time because I felt crazy. Like I felt insane when I wore them. I felt depressed. I felt like and I said to her, I'm like, I don't know what's going on with these. I'm like, you know, I said, there's something, whatever. And so she doesn't take returns or exchanges. And I said, well, can we just like, I said, you know what, I'll just keep them and I'll gift them to somebody. I'm like, you know, but long story short, looking back on that, I know it's because moonstone speaks to those that need it. And it's very witchy. And I didn't really fully realize my witchiness at the time. It was like in that chapter, I hadn't fully like come into who I was. And now I think I would have understood that energy and I would have been able to like rock with my cock out. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm in big graphic, but you know, they say rock with your cock out. Like, but it really like, you know, because I was too green and I couldn't handle her. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I can't handle you. I don't know who you are. And it was interesting because you could tell they came from like the same stone because my ears felt balanced and like it felt good in some respects, but in other ways it just felt like I didn't deserve it. I felt like I didn't deserve it, which I did, but I didn't understand it. It just it felt like a grandmother, like a stern grandmother who's like, get your shit together. You know what I mean? And I was like, no, I don't want to. I still want to do what I want to do. I still want to drink and smoke and party and fuck who I want and leave me alone. And I don't know. It just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. So if you work with moonstone, make sure that you know, if it's meant for you. Like this piece was sent to me by Anna, who also sent me that. And let me see if Spirit has me draw this in. This is a really, I'm going to let the light play with it a little bit. But this is a very magical moonstone. Look for the rainbows in it. Every so often, you'll see it. Oh, you see it at the end there? Oh, see it? Ooh. It's like seeing a rare sighting of like a creature. And speaking of whales, because it reminds me of, this always reminds me of a whale. I don't even know what that is in there. It doesn't remind me of a shark. It reminds me of a whale. But I heard somebody said shark, and that's okay. That means you meant to work with shark spirit medicine. And for the rest of you, I want you to work with whale spirit medicine, and for the shark people too. Work with both. But if you saw shark before whale, look at shark first. You know, but there's medicine in everything, and you are medicine people. You know, ooh, sorry. Ooh, girl. I'm like, what just happened there? I'm like, okay. I'm hearing from spirit that some of you are really struggling with your gifts and your abilities. You're really struggling. I'm hearing you're struggling with the quote unquote reality, but they're saying you're in the wrong fucking dimension. You're in the wrong duality. I just heard duality. I was trying to say reality and duality came out of my mouth. You're trying to have your feet in both doors and you can't do it. You can't do it. You can't, you need to fully walk in. It's like, they just have me walk away so you can see the light, right? Like, it's like, okay, so if I don't stand there, that's what it looks like, right? But if I go over here, because my curtains are very light, so the light's going to come through. So I can't stop that. I'd have to put like some fabric over it or something. It's okay. But they're trying to show you that like, this is the room you're in. And you got a little bit of light, right? Like you're living the 5th dimensional energy. You understand it exists. You're here, right? Like you found this reading, you understand. But you're still trying to, think of it as like maybe a place, or maybe you do feel like it's a door or a room that you need to walk into. And they're like, it's a state of mind. I'm in a New York state of mind, right? But you're in a spirit state of mind. You're in a consciousness energy that is unknown to you. that you haven't fully integrated yet. So I'm gonna read from the book. By the way, my heater is acting really weird. I don't know what's going on. Hold on. Okay. They just wanted me to do a little cleansing for you. Let's do a little cleansing. Yeah, it's like when you're hanging out in certain energies. I mean, I had a discussion with my partner yesterday, and he was saying that he's having a really, really hard time being around people right now. And I said, I get that. I'm like, you know, there's something to that. It's really powerful. So it's like, then lean into that, you know, lean into it. I was like, even with me, he's like, yes, even with you. And I was like, but it kind of makes sense because when we're together, it's like there's a part of him that remembers who he is, right? Like, because it's kind of contagious, right? Wherever two or more gather. So like he remembers that he's not from this world. He remembers that he's different. He understands that. But then when he goes back into like, because we're separated, we're living apart. And so when he goes back into his world and his life and his, you know, whatever, and he works as a mobile mechanic, and not all the people he works for are exactly spiritual. They're nice, kind, wonderful people. He has a great clientele list, very generous, loving people, but they're not all spiritual. So he's not going to have the same conversations with him as he would with, say, us. Or, you know, and you start to realize that, you know, it's good to have the diversity, but if you're kind of like straddling both worlds, it can feel very dissolving to the soul. But it's okay, because it's like you're going to figure it out and you're going to finally pull yourself forward. Because what I started to realize was that I felt drained when I was with him too. Oh my gosh, when I looked up, it was 1/11/11. And he and I, that's how we found each other, was through 11/11 energy. And then we were married on November 11th. So, you know, that's what I'm trying to say, is that we're all going through different things right now. And when he said that, I was very upset. And I'm not going to lie, my ego was a little offended, because I was like, my house is awesome. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, there's such good energy in here. And, you know, but I can see why he'd feel drained, because I'm trying to keep up the energy. And it's like, it's almost like we're fighting each other, you know, because we're not in the same world. It's as if we're in the same room, but there's like a huge, like thick glass partition between us, and we can see each other and we can see emotions and we can whatever, but we can't really hear the other person. And I think there's something to be said about that right now. So it's okay if you feel like you don't fit in and you don't belong. You don't. But that's because you were meant to elevate the energy on the planet. And if Spirit calls me to, I will put a link below to the a little shorts that Spirit put out for us. It was so beautiful and very simple, but it was about that. It's like, you know, you're not alone. It's just that, you know, if you're feeling alone, it's like you've fallen too much into the, like, you know, lost human, like, oh, you know, because there's feeling alone and there's lonely. You know, like we're constantly surrounded by spirits and energies and entities that are looking out for us, right? So we're never alone. But it's the loneliness could be that you're not like hugging someone, you're not laughing with someone. You can watch something, you can whatever, but we need hugs. We need that interaction, you know. That's why they've pulled us apart, and that was part of the plan all along. But the other side, the good side of, you know, the internet, is that it also linked us together as little push pins all over the planet. So focus on your light, focus on your love, focus on your devotion and your intuition. And let's get to the book. I feel like that wants to go there. Okay. So Moonstone, it's interesting. It's getting darker. I was going to work on the yard today, and it is just, I'm like, no, it is too cold. It is too wet. It is too windy. And you know what? I'm like, I think tomorrow, I have this good feeling it's going to be tomorrow. And then when Spirit said to do a reading, I kind of got excited, because I was like, yeah, we haven't done a picker reading since the 11/11 portal 10 days ago. Okay, so Moonstone, here are the key words: fertility, reflection, intuition, imagination, goddess energy, and amplified feelings. During the appearance of the next full moon, your emotions and fears will be amplified, and you will at times think you're going crazy. However, keep your calm, for this condition will only last a few days. During this time, you will find yourself reflecting on your life, both past and present. You will gain deep insights as to the nature of true happiness and begin to reassess your priorities. After the full moon, a fertile period in your life begins, full of many exciting challenges and changes. Many new and rewarding friendships will be formed as you embark on new and creative ventures. This is all the result of the reflective light of the moon, so give thanks to her for her wisdom. That's right, Goddess Lilith of the moon. So, if you're watching this in real time, we just had the new moon in Scorpio less than 48 hours ago. And I had a feeling, I grabbed my calendar. I had a feeling it was going to be for somebody, and it's full. It opened right up to November. I love when that happens. So in real time, it's also the beginning of Sagittarius season. How could I possibly miss that? I'm a triple Sag. We have so many Sages. Happy birthday, Sages. We have so many Sages in this tribe. It's so funny. Oh, that's so awesome. I love it. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. So blessed Sagittarius season. Maybe it obviously wasn't meant for everybody. I kept looking at my calendar, but I didn't feel like I was like, if that means anything. Anyway, so the new moon in Scorpio reading, I'll put a link below. We went live. It was really fun. But, the Scorpio moon itself, is about transformation and rebirth. This is about the phoenix rising out of the ashes, but we are marrying it with this Sagittarius fire energy. So this is the time to really put ourselves out there and be like, who are we? What do we want? Who am I? I don't know. If you've seen Zoolander, right? It's like, but this is really it. It's like, who are you? Who am I? Oh my gosh. Have you guys ever seen, if you love Best in Show, you have to watch the pageant version. It'll come to me. Oh, Drop Dead Gorgeous. It's fucking hilarious. It's like one of the funniest movies. It's when they first started doing those parody movies. Every single actor in that movie is a genius. Like they all were, you can tell that they really had fun with it. And also Brittany Murphy, actually. And Kirstie Alley. Oh my gosh, I think there's a lot of people that are gone now from that movie. Oh, sigh, wince. Things happen. Also, we worked with angel numbers 1158, 1713, and 3333. But again, I'll put a link below if you didn't check it out. And Spirit said, time to confront all fears, emotions, and desires and dreams. Everybody's got a dream. What's your dream? So my beautiful reading 3, you have a lot on your plate, but I know you can do this. And, get through this moon. Like there's something, and I just looked down, it was 117 exactly. Ones are about new beginnings. 17 is a huge number for this tribe. And it's also the number 8, which is about infinity. And then I looked up again and it was 07, right? We go in cycles and chapters. And there's some things that are going to stay with us into the next chapter of our lives, and some things that are just going to naturally fall away, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And it's okay to let them go, and it's okay to let them find out who they are and what they're doing. Now is the time to focus on ourselves. And when we do that, we have so much energy, then we can help and focus energy on others. But when we start to feel depleted, you go right back into the self-care bubble and you fill yourself back up with that beautiful, loving, healthy energy so that you can go back out into the world and help, because that is what you were brought here to do. All right, Spirit, do we have any more messages for reading 3 at this time? Nope, that's it. All right, you guys. I love you so much. Spirit loves you. All of my information is in the description box if you'd like to work with me one-on-one or have a recorded reading. I work on a sliding scale, so it's different for everybody. And also, I have a new PayPal link, which is awesome. It's international. If it's in your means to do so, I have Venmo, and I have a Amazon link. But remember that prayer is free, and these are set out with intention to help. And if you would like to do so in return, and you can, and it's in your wheelhouse, we are forever grateful for it. And we always light a candle with a nice abundance prayer and healing and loving energy coming right back at you. Even though I do it for anybody anyway, it's like a nice little from Spirit for the exchange of energy. But I do it for the prayers. I can feel your prayers. So either way, when I'm praying, I feel you guys. Sometimes when I light a candle, I can feel you guys like lighting candles for me. So thank you. All right, until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. Blessed be. Oh, love you. Bye.